Oh my gosh, you guys have never been around. Don't attack me, ducks. Don't attack me. Hi you guys, welcome to my channel. This is your girl Shalisa. Today I'm actually going to be going in on a story time. I actually got a few requests for this, so I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know about my experience with seizures the past few years. I'm officially 3 years seizure free. So about a few years ago in 2013, I actually had my first seizure. I was 19. My first one was in my sleep, you guys. It was very unexpected. I woke up, I had peed in the bed. My ex was across the room, and we then called my parents and went into the hospital. I was in the hospital for about a 48-hour to 72-hour hold. They let me free, they let me go, and after that I didn't have any seizures for about another 2 years. In between that time, I did go to cosmetology school. I graduated, and after graduating I ended up having my second seizure in 2015. And that time I actually ended up going to a Starbucks earlier in the day, and everything smelled off. My whole senses were completely shot, and I didn't understand why it smelled so weird. So when I got home, I realized my head was hurting, and it felt very off. All my senses were not there. So I went to lay down, and when I woke up, I was being pulled out on a stretcher and being put into an ambulance. And that was the second time. But from there, the doctors did monetize me, and they were able to see where the seizures were coming from. And that's when things got more serious. At that point, in that stage, I then actually got put on medication, found myself a neurologist. And my advice for most people is just to make sure that you have a doctor that you truly, I want to say have like a connection with to an extent. Somebody who really is willing to listen to you and actually able to fulfill your needs. After finding me a doctor, we then began me on my first medication, which was oxcarbazepine. That was a medication I was on my whole time having seizures and not having seizures. And during the beginning stages of me beginning to have seizures, I first began having seizures only about 1 a month. And at first I wasn't taking it as seriously, you guys. I was 21 years old. I still wanted to like party and enjoy myself with people. And in the beginning, you know, I thought that it wasn't as serious of a problem, my seizures. And I did drink a little bit here and there when I wanted to on the weekend and party. But things got real serious over time. My seizures did begin to increase, and I was trying new medication. And there was an instance where I actually ended up going through a breakdown, and I had an episode, and this was the first one of many. And this one I don't remember like how it happened, of course, but from what I do know is I went to lay down, and when I came back to reality, I was down the street, around the corner, on the wrong side of town. I was laid out at like a starfish, and there were police all around me with a taser. They wouldn't let me get up. They thought that I was somebody on drugs, but I wasn't. Everybody around was letting the police know that, you know, I had seizures and things like that, and, you know, I was just on new medication and it wasn't working well with my body. So they didn't believe us. My mom came, she got there in time, and they still didn't want to listen, so they bring me to the hospital. When they did all that, they did end up testing me afterwards and found out that I was not on any type of drugs, and they believed me, and they realized that I was, you know, just having seizures. So they did let me go. And that's when it was a real reality check for me. From there, I cut out, you know, drinking. I got myself together in that aspect, and, you know, take it seriously. If you're having seizures, I understand, you know, if you're younger, you want to still continue to party like everybody else, but, you know, you got to cool down. It's hard, and, you know, I had to kind of learn the hard way. I tried to continue drinking, and it didn't work out in my favor. Once I ended up quitting that, I was working, and I was working on myself, and we were trying different medications as well. I went through a lot of different things. I went through having a seizure, burning my hand. I crushed a cup of noodle. I also had instances where falling down and things like that. But towards the end, I did have to move back in with my mom because things did progress, and my family did have to let me go from working. So moving back into my mom's was very hard for me, but she did help me out a lot. She helped me get on disability. She helped me especially because things got worse and I couldn't even take a shower alone anymore. I had to have the shower door open or I would collapse in the shower due to the steam. And just as things progressed and tests kept getting done, MRIs, CAT scans, different medications that I was trying, I felt like the medication was making things worse. And every test that we had done in the hospital showed that my seizures were coming from the same exact location, you guys. On the back, on the right-hand side of my brain. Right there, they seen something. And the neurologist I had tried to make excuses. We knew it was a cyst, but he still tried to always have like a rebuttal with me when I did decide I wanted to have brain surgery. It was always okay, maybe I'll look into it later, but let's try this next medication. And as he continued to do that, he pushed me on that for quite a while, and it took a while until I put my foot down. And once I put my foot down, you guys, me and my mom decided that I needed a new doctor who was willing to listen to me and help me out, because the seizures were now progressing to 1 a week. And I couldn't work. I couldn't do a lot of things. So once that happened, we switched doctors and I got a new neurologist. And he was amazing. He actually listened to me. He helped me get a female surgeon to do the surgery for me. He helped progress. Within 3 months, I was able to get into the hospital and get my brain surgery that I had always wanted. Also, there are other holistic remedies out there. I can say during the end, when I stopped working, through the last year or two of having seizures, I did try alternative natural remedies before I did go into having actual surgery. I actually chose to do acupuncture because my family, my uncle and my aunt are acupuncture doctors. I tried their acupuncture, but the best acupuncture I had was with their friend. Their friend, he did acupuncture for depression and people with bipolar and all that, and it was amazing, you guys. Every time I came out of there, I was shining. I was so excited. I was dancing around, feeling alive. My mom, I remember she was just like, "Why are you smiling?" And I'm just like, "I feel so good, you guys." And I just feel so good, Mom, And I can say that it's a great thing to do, especially if you have anything that's going on for you with anxiety or things like that. I would say definitely check out acupuncture. It is a really great form of therapy. I did have a therapist as well, but I can say that the acupuncture was better. Other than that, I also messed around with different tinctures. My family did have a holistic medication business with CBD products, and we tried tinctures. They weren't selling tinctures at the time, but I did work in the lab. I did make all the vapes, the patches, the salves, the lip balms. So I got really good with chemistry during that time, and chemistry is one of my favorite subjects. So I loved that during that time. That was such a great hobby during that rough time of my life. So what I did do is I did come up to the lab and I would make tinctures. The first round, they gave me about 3 to 4 different doses. They were CBD to THC ratios. They gave me a 2-to-1, a 4-to-1, a 16-to-1, and I believe a 32-to-1. And the first few tinctures didn't work, but it was the 32-to-1 ratio of CBD to THC ratio that allowed me to have 0 seizures for a full month. And let me tell you, during this time, I was having at least 3 to 4 seizures a month, and that worked. But the whole thing was also, I didn't know how long that was going to be able to last because it wasn't something that was on the market. I didn't feel like I could rely on that forever, and I knew I couldn't. And I knew that I needed to go through with the surgery. Is why I had made that my choice, because I knew deep down and I trusted my gut and my intuition, and it told me that the surgery is what was necessary. I had my brain surgery in March of 2020. When I ended up having my surgery and I was in recovery, about 3 to 4 days later, my doctors did come in. They did let me know that I was not able to have any more visitors. During that time, I actually had to FaceTime with everybody. They let me know that the pandemic had struck, and I remember that. It was so crazy. I was like, what? What do you mean? What's what pandemic? What is that? And they let me know that everybody was going on lockdown in California, and that it was happening globally everywhere. 2020 was a crazy year. For a lot of people, it was a very rough year. But for me, 2020 was a year of blessings and healing. For me, it was the perfect time for me to focus on getting myself back to my old self and really working on myself. I want to say this. Anybody who does go through this surgery, I understand what you're going through. After you get out of that, I had a lot of people pressure me and asking me questions. Why are you still taking medication? And you shouldn't need medication anymore. You had brain surgery, which I understand. That's what they think. But it is a process. Most doctors won't allow you to come off of medication for about 5 years. My doctor was willing to work with me, and we were going to allow me to come off medication within 2 years. And during that time, I did have to just take the time and realize there was no rush to immediately go straight back into work. I needed to really allow myself and my body to really heal and being at its full capability, its full capacity. So during that time, it was actually pretty great to really begin getting my health back together. I started walking a lot. I started and let me say that took a minute because it was the pandemic, it was on lockdown, I was in the house a lot. But once we were able to go outside with masks and things, me and my mom began to take things to the next level, where we actually began to be at the beach a lot, because I did live in San Diego at the time. And that was such a great way to heal, you guys. Being near the water, meditating, bringing all that into reality, going out, taking pictures, enjoying life. That was a big thing that helped me. And I want to say that anybody out there, don't rush. The healing process does take some time. I began coming off of medication after about 2 years. And the reason why I did push myself to begin coming off medication was because for me, the medication wasn't helping anymore. The medication was now making me not feel good. It got to a point where I had to begin to trust my body and listen to my intuition. And every single time I took medication, I think that my brain was becoming fully healed. And because of that, within 30 minutes of taking the medication, I had to go to sleep because it felt like this pressure on my head and it was being pressed down and I couldn't function, so I had to sleep. So I had to take things into my own hands. I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't say to do this or recommend this to anybody, but just talk to your doctor, let them know what's going on, especially if you went through surgery and they want you to continue on with the medication. Talk to them. But also make sure, you guys, that you have a good doctor who genuinely wants the best for you and wants to see you, being able to relive your life again and be able to have a second chance, because I was given a second chance. It took me some time. It's 3 years later now, and I'm finally now out here recording and doing what I used to love to do, but that also took a lot of progress. You know, I had to do a lot of deep healing. I had to also think about and remember what my dreams were in the past and what my passion was and what I enjoyed to do. And I loved to edit videos. I loved all that. And also I loved doing makeup and I loved doing hair. So now I've been slowly bringing all those things back into my life, learning to enjoy life again, love life. And I want to say this, that, you know, you got this. If you are somebody out there going through the struggle, you know, everybody struggles, you know, but we also have to learn to come out of that mindset of feeling like a victim, because, you know, I know we're all victims sometimes. You know, we all go through hard times, but going through these hard times and being able to overcome it feels so amazing. And, you know, we are all way stronger than we think we are. And as long as you work on your mindset and are willing to move forward, and, you know, tomorrow's a new day, but always look forward for that. You know, time moves really quick, slow but quick, and, you know, you want to always make sure that you're gonna have the best life. So for me, it took a while. Yes, I took my time for recovery, but now I am ready and I feel confident and strong and finally able to do what I want to do and what I love to do, and I have the freedom to do it. And now I'm just working on that mindset and staying as positive as I can.